Intertalk Radio, you're in to all things music.
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Happy Friday, everybody. You are tuned to May the Best Brand Win right here on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. I am Scott Robertson, your host for the next hour, and a man who is already done with all of his Christmas, all of his holiday shopping, thanks to iTunes and Amazon gift cards. You know, because people know what they want. Why should I have to be psychic and figure it out? You know what I mean? Know what you want. That's what I say. And with me on the air today, of course, is a man who may or may not have started his holiday shopping from just outside Miramar Air Force Base in San Diego at Intertalk Central. Paul B. How's it going, Paul?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Start that holiday shopping?
No, but you're giving me a good idea with the gift cards. The reason I don't know what to get people, but cards are
and they
good.
don't tell you, and people won't tell you. You know, you'll say, "Well, what do you want?" I don't know what I want. It's like, well, then a gift card.
I kind of just, I don't know, buying gifts for grown-ups. That's the problem. My kid's like, I want a Ninja Turtle, and I want a bicycle, and I want Nintendo, and you know, you don't have any problem figuring out what they want. You know, you might have a problem accommodating all their hungry desires, but
it's so true. It's so true. But yeah, exactly. But you're trying to buy for adults, and who knows what we want? We don't even know what we want. The focus on this show that we talk about quite a bit.
I'm just going to get everybody Ninja Turtles. I think deep down that's what everyone really wants.
I can't imagine anybody ever saying no to a Ninja Turtle.
Right.
It's pretty awesome. It's an awesome gift.
Right on.
And you can always find a use for it. You know, you just put it on the shelf, you know, you keep it sitting next to you in the car, and you're like, you know, people are like, what's that? That's my Ninja Turtle. What? What's wrong with you?
You could use it as a projectile in an emergency and a home invasion. They're pretty hefty.
I like it. Creative uses. I could see a blog post, 10 uses for a Ninja Turtle that you got as a gift.
The answer may surprise you.
The answer will surprise you. Well, if you guys have a question for me out in Radio Land, you can always email me at scott@robertsoncom, 2 M's like communications.com, and I will answer anything you guys talk about right here on the show. And I do base a lot of my shows on some of that feedback. I based last week's show on an email that I got, and wanted to deal with that. And you can always find my posts, client news clips, things that we're out there doing for clients in the marketplace, and other things at my Facebook page, RobertsonCom, facebook.com/RobertsonCom, or Twitter @RobertsonCom, 2 M's. Just reach out and connect. We'll be out there, and I can entertain you and give you a few tips as well. So on today's show, we are going to talk about, I call this show episode 37, if you're keeping score. Episode 37, I call Being Different. And it comes from really the idea in marketing that all marketing is trying to do, aside from building long-term, you know, powerful relationships for an organization or community, is really to be different, differentiated marketing. So we're going to dig into that subject today and, you know, talk about why we do this. We're going to talk about positioning. We're going to talk about differentiation. And we're going to give you some tips about how you can set yourself apart from all of your competitors out there with your brand. And we're also going to dig into, of course, like we do every week, we're going to dig into who's winning and who's losing. And, you know, the show is definitely going to be a different show. So hopefully we'll have some fun together and learn a few things as well. That's what I say, at least. So, you know, I just wanted, as I like to do in segment one all the time, I like to kind of just start with a little bit of education about what it is. So when you're talking about being different, you almost can't do that without talking about the marketing concept of positioning. And positioning really refers to the place that a brand, your brand, occupies in the mind of a consumer, and how it is distinguished from products, you know, in terms of from other products, from competitors, from whoever you're out there competing with. Nonprofits also can, you know, be positioned just because you don't necessarily market a product, you know, per se, a physical, you know, a product like a Ninja Turtle. doesn't mean you can't have positioning. It's a very powerful marketing concept. Originally, it really focused on product, and a couple of guys, Rees and Trout, really started to include building the product's reputation and ranking this amongst a competitor's products. It goes back to some early books by by Trout and Rees and some guys like that in the marketing lexicon. But Jeffrey Moore in his book Crossing the Chasm talked about the positioning statement and basically said that the positioning statement should include the identification of the target market, what the need is, the product name in the category, the key benefit that you're going to deliver, and the basis in which you're, and again, what we're going to talk about in today's show, the basis of the differentiation from competing alternatives. So, again, and just so we can all be speaking the same marketing jargon-like language, differentiation is really how your company's product, service, or brand is unique. Are you the first? Are you the least expensive? Are you, another distinguishing factor? Whatever you kind of use to stand out from the rest is called differentiation. So, let's talk about positioning. Positioning kind of comes from when I think of it as on a board with push pins. Let's say you have an X and Y axis, and let's say the X axis recognizes is how you're going to graph you versus your competitors on how quickly you brought your product you were in the marketplace, and the let's say the Y axis is how you're going to, or what quality level consumers would rate you versus your competitors. Now, positioning is you take a push pin and you say competitor A, let's just do Coke and Pepsi. Coke was on the market first, so it would, Pepsi followed Coke by a number of years. So, Coke, you would put it, high marks for being to market first, and then just let's say it has, a 5 ranking amongst competitors in terms of taste. Then you would count up to 5 and you would put the push pin there. So you would mark, again, an X and Y axis, and you would position the business there, right? Always an element of subjectivity to this kind of thing, but it's it's better than nothing, is what I would say. So, and Pepsi maybe less to market, but maybe it ranks higher with a certain kind of customer group in terms of taste. So then that would be positioned here. When you talk about positioning, usually that's what we're talking about. A position, a pin that you would place against an X and Y axis, on a board. And how you position a company or a brand, can be really kind of fascinating stuff. It's because you're making a choice, right? You're deciding what the X and Y axis is are going to be in that scenario. You're deciding, how you're going to, position yourself versus your competitors. And that can be really interesting work and important work, because you need to know, not only do you need to know where your competitors think they are in the marketplace, you need to know who you are and what you think you are, because that is what leads to ultimately the story that you're going to be able to tell other people about who you are, and the story that you're going to be able to kind of defend across the life of the brand. Now, like I said, it is there is an element of subjectivity to this, and it's really important to know that you're dealing with on any of this marketing stuff. There's no perfectly right or perfectly wrong answer as to how you position your business. If it's your business, you're working with a startup company, there's no right or wrong choice to make here necessarily. It is just a choice about which things that you want to emphasize over what your competitors are emphasizing. And then in 2005, there was a book that came out called Blue Ocean Strategy, and it was written by W. Chan Kim and Renee Malborne, professors at INSEAD, and they worked at a place called the INSEAD Blue Ocean Strategy Institute. Now, the book is really fascinating because the argument is that companies would be able to succeed by not battling competitors, but rather by creating these blue oceans of uncontested market space. They assert that these strategic moves create a leap in value for the company, and while unlocking new demand and making the competition irrelevant. One of the most famous ones is Nintendo and creating their Wii video games platform. When Sony with its PlayStation, and Microsoft with its Xbox were sort of positioning themselves on, well, we have higher graphics cards and we have faster speeds and we have higher resolution graphics, and they're focusing on sort of the power of their video game systems and the capabilities. The Wii system went completely in the other direction when it was unveiled, and it went with a different uncontested market space, very basic graphics, but very easy to use, going after a different customer base, and emphasizing the element of mobility while playing a video game, which really had not been done previously with any success. And of course, they market it to different people. They said, hey, this Wii system is not your hardcore strategic gaming system. We're going to market it to, baby boomers and folks that haven't had a video game system and don't really know what to expect, through that. And so we're going to create this different experience. And we're going to compete and be one of the big three, but we're going to compete on a platform that we feel like is uncontested market space for us. And that gave a lot of weight to the idea of Blue Ocean's marketing strategy. That is certainly one way to be different, right? To look for the blue oceans of uncontested market space. It's it's a really fascinating subject, is it not? To think about where your competitors are. I mean, you could spend, and people do spend, a good portion of your life, just working, on these type of maps and strategies, and it's very much, it kind of has a wartime feel, which a lot of things in business do, because we kind of had war before we had business. So a lot of terms that you find in your business lexicon really just came from the military lexicon first. And it's important to know that. You'd be amazed when people in the business world don't really understand that. They don't understand. They're like, well, business is not really about, battling. It's about cooperation. It's about all the things. It's like, no, you need to review your history books. It's not, all the terms in business came from war, and the parallels, therein. You can have a different philosophy on that, but, you need to know your history. Let's talk about, when we're talking about being different, Donald J. Trump, man, now that was a very different presidential candidate than we've ever seen before, in any of our lifetimes, to be honest. And the campaign was very different, and very strange, because we have this outsider who, less than 3 years ago, we were tuning in to watch on NBC on Sunday nights while he would fire people in the boardroom and, deal with all their drama and those kind of things, on a reality television show, on NBC. And we watched this, this guy move to the highest seat of power in the free world, which, the joke is, the person who's following him on Celebrity Apprentice is Arnold Schwarzenegger. So if that's the new grooming path for president, then we have President Schwarzenegger to look forward to next, probably. But no matter if you like Donald Trump or don't like Donald Trump or weren't really paying attention to Donald Trump, whatever, there's one thing that you can't ignore about him, and that's the fact that his campaign was very different. He was a very different candidate. He came from he's never even held a PTA job. He's held no political positions whatsoever, completely on the business side of things. And that is unprecedented. We've never seen anything like that before. And again, as I mentioned on some previous shows, really those trust in government numbers are extremely telling when you see it creates an opportunity for an outsider to penetrate the inner walls. When there's that little trust in the institution of government that we saw. But when Donald Trump went out, if you look at his messaging was very different. His messaging was extremely different than what we had seen before, in the sense that he was saying, "Hey, look, he really just kind of fed the idea of, government has failed you. Your government has failed you. Our country's not going in the right direction. We're gonna," and really capitalized on a lot of that sentiment that was out there. So definitely, we see that different works, right? Different works. Nobody expected it to work. Nobody, thought that was going to work, but it certainly did. Bands. Let's go to music for a second. Bands are always looking for their unique sound, yet every band has influences. You sit down with any band and you say, what are your influences? What are the artists that influenced you the most? All bands have influences, yet they want, especially, the ones that are out there putting out, records and making a go of it themselves in the music industry. They want to find their sound, their unique message, their position in the world. And, obviously some bands, are formed as sort of a corporate entity, and, you can have opinions, up and down the spectrum as to whether you think that's a good thing or not. To me, it depends. It honestly depends. But I do think that, brands are not that different from bands, in the sense that we are, we do have those kind of influences, and we are looking for our unique position in the marketplace. Being different is extremely, extremely powerful. We're going to talk a little bit later in this segment. So I'm going to give you some tips for being different, and we're going to talk about some of the irony about kind of what it means to be different, and how comfortable that is for us to deal with. And of course, also, also coming up in today's show, we're going to be digging into, who's winning and losing. So, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully we got off to a good start here so far, and discussing positioning and what it means to be different. And, that's going to do it for segment one. But when we come back, we're going to dig into who's winning, who's losing this week. And then we're going to keep talking about what it means to be different in this wide, wonderful world on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader on Music Biz Talk. Come on back for segment two.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time, or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Hey, it's Tracy Smith
and Beth Venus
of Girls Talk Rock right here on the Intertalk Radio Network.
Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific.
Okay, Beth, they know that, but we want you to know that the industry pro's choice is Silver Tiger Production.
SDP is a full-service production agency offering sound, lighting, installations, talent buying, staffing, backline equipment rental, and sales. Kapow!
It's everything in the entertainment performance industry. It's all at...
It's all that!
SilverTigerProduction.com.
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
You're different like everybody else. Happy Friday, everybody. You are tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. I am Scott Robertson. I'm here with Paul. We're getting ready to talk about who's winning and who's losing. Paul, you having fun so far?
Yep. You mentioned Schwarzenegger. It gave me an idea. We should come up with another Mount Rushmore with like the most like ridiculously unexpected. I mean, Schwarzenegger wasn't a president, but Schwarzenegger could be up there. Trump, I guess Reagan. Just people that like you're TV personalities. Why? How are you?
I think it would be great if we just started if the American people said, so we're just. From now on for our elections, we're just going to elect the host of NBC's Celebrity Apprentice. And so then people will, all these politicians will try to start hosting Celebrity Apprentice. And like, we just totally reset the pathway for,
Yeah, that'll work. We just need the most entertaining president.
Yeah, exactly. That would be fun. Well, good. Let's talk about who's winning and losing. I got some good ones for you guys this week. Let's dig into, first of all, let's talk about Kentucky Fried Chicken. Kentucky Fried Chicken came out with a new candle that will fill your home with the scent of fried chicken. Yeah. So that's a thing, right? They have a fried chicken scented candle. They put out on their Instagram, what better way to light up your nights with the limited edition KFC scented candle. Go to win one to suggest another piece of KFC merchandise you'd like to see from us in the comments below. It does actually exist, and folks in Australia actually are the ones that in KFC New Zealand were the ones who asked fans to make this crazy candle. Gotta ask why. I can't imagine ever having the thought that my house needed to smell like Kentucky Fried Chicken. And if so, let me just follow me here. You could probably accomplish that by going to get a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken and just keeping it in your house for a little while. I know if you keep it in your car, it makes your car smell like Kentucky Fried Chicken for like a month. It's terrible. So I'm going to put that in losing because that's just weird. That's something marketing should defend themselves against.
And I'd like to thank you for solving my Christmas gift dilemma.
Oh,
now I know what to get all my friends and family.
Everybody's getting KFC chicken candles from Paul. I like it. Well, good. Also in the losing category, Samsung. Can Samsung get out of the losing category for more than? They announced today that they're going to brick the last few Note 7s left in the wild. Now, isn't this interesting? So 93% of all recalled Galaxy Note 7 devices have been returned, in the United States. But there's still like 7% of people who, knowing the product explodes, and it's so well covered. I mean, there's no way you couldn't know that, especially if you're walking around with a smartphone, and you still don't turn that thing in. You still don't, and there's still like a group of people. There's still 7%. So Samsung has to brick the phones, and that's a happy little technical term for they will send out an update that locks the phone and makes it makes it like a brick, unable to function, unable to work. And in September they've done all these things to try to get people to recall them, but seriously, there are people out there, and this is for you marketers out there. I mean, just when you think that the bar of stupidity is as low in the country as you could possibly imagine it, chew on this one. Knowing that the phone explodes and catches on fire, there are people who still won't return it. There are devices out in the wild that still won't be returned, even knowing that, right? Amazing. Absolutely, blowing your mind, kind of amazing, I got to say. So, but we're going to put Samsung in the losing category because, well, they just need to be because of all the Note 7 issues and branding issues that they had. You know what's interesting about Samsung to me is they keep running these ads with these virtual reality goggles that you just click your phone in and you put it up right by your eyes? Are there people that are actually going to put a Samsung phone right up next to your ocular sockets after knowing what their phones are capable of doing? I mean, I was laughing. We were watching TV with my kids, and they were just like, there is no way that is going to happen. And I was like, raised them right, baby. Okay, moving on to Domino's Pizza. In the winning category, Domino's Pizza has come up with an interesting way. They have this loyalty program called Piece of the Pie Rewards Program, and starting today, millions of the patrons who signed up for the program are now eligible for a chance to win Domino's stock. The company's going to pick 25 members at random, and really give each of them 10 shares of stock all through from now to November of next year. So it's like a year-long kind of promotion, and they're going to give them stock in the company. So that's kind of interesting, right? So it's the story and the press release basically said it's a fresh way for Domino's to try to stand out in the ever-changing pizza delivery market. Hey, and by the way, folks, talk about, this whole show we're talking about being different. That's a tough market right there. You've got a lot of competitors, and they, look and sound, so similar that what can you possibly do? And Domino's is like, well, we can have a rewards program, to do some things like, you can order they did a thing where you could order the pizza through Amazon's Alexa AI engine kind of thing. And, did a few things like that. But the stock thing is one of the more creative things that I've seen recently. So anyway, kudos for Domino's for thinking outside the box and giving him a piece of the company, literally. So that's kind of interesting. Let's see. Let's put this in the winning column. There's a YouTube personality out there, but it goes by the name of PewDiePie, and he has 50 million subscribers to his YouTube channel. I'm gonna say that again, just so you know. A gentleman, from Denmark who goes by the handle PewDiePie, has now reached the 50 million subscriber level for his YouTube channel. Now, the Super Bowl, by comparison, reaches about that many people too. And people, brands pay, $4 to $5 million per second for advertising to reach that level of people. So this is a significant channel out there. Now, this PewDiePie guy basically said that once he reaches 50 million, he is going to pull an unexpected stunt to celebrate. And the Swedish vlogger, should I try to pronounce his name? This would be fun for the kids at home. There's no way I can pronounce his name. His name is Felix Arvid Elf Borgnensen. Whatever. I like PewDiePie better. I can say that. That works a little better for me. But he basically said that he would do the deed and he would delete his YouTube channel, which is kind of interesting. And he actually did delete his YouTube channel, but he actually deleted his second less successful account on the thing. So that's kind of interesting. I read somewhere that this YouTube personality makes over $145 million a year off of his YouTube channel. And I don't know if that's in whatever money they cash in over there in Sweden or not, but or if that's in U.S. dollars. But that is a lot, folks, for a YouTube channel, gotta say. So anyway, I'm gonna put him in the winning column, both for making $145 million off of his YouTube channel and for reaching 50 million people with his YouTube channel. Put him in the column of must be doing something right. In the losing category, UPS. And how do you lose when you're UPS? I mean, what are you doing, UPS? So UPS did something in Portland recently. They created this little trike delivery service. It's basically a three-wheeled bicycle with a giant UPS van type of container stuck on the back of it, and it's brown. And according to the press release that they released, the strange brown tricycle machine started delivering packages in late November. It uses battery-powered electric motors as well as pedals, And UPS says that maximum energy efficiency is achieved using both metals. If the Portland program works, then that's the statement that's just hanging out in the, works, right. The company plans to bring the silly trike to other cities in 2017. One of the grounds, this was awesome out of the press release, and I had to read it, was one of the grounds in which the silly trike is judged is acceptance of the vehicle. So everybody's going to just have to kind of see how that goes. I'm going to put that in the losing column. Your UPS, you need to get stuff to us fast. You need to get stuff to us efficiently. No part of your brand says you need to have a silly tricycle to do it. If marketing's thinking this stuff up, then you need to go behind them. You need to reach down into the back of their pants. You need to grab those undershorts. You need to jerk those things up as hard as you can, as hard as you can. Marketing needs a wedgie because they are doing something weird and something that's really unnecessary. I'm going to put that in the losing column. When marketing suggests you do things like that, again, turn them around, administer the necessary punishment to get them thinking about the right thing. Losing. Fisher Price. Fisher Price is kind of Fisher Price found itself in an interesting situation this week. Basically a designer in New York City who runs a branding agency. His name's Adam Padilla. He is a father to a 2-year-old girl, and he created a very realistic looking happy hour playset that was branded as Fisher Price, and then he put it on his Instagram, and some comedians tweeted and stuff, and basically they were. It's funny. You definitely need to go to see the picture of it. It made the Today Show. It's basically it's basically a place where toddlers can hang out and have a drink after a hard day of preschool or what have you. Of course, Fisher Price had to quickly. There were a lot of parents that were offended that Fisher Price would create such a product, in which Fisher Price said, "Wasn't us." And then this guy, basically the whole thing went viral, and it was shared by comedian Amari King, actually. And it resulted to many complaints to Fisher Price because people think it was a real product. I mean, if UPS can do the silly trike thing, I mean, Fisher Price could certainly have a momentary lapse and do a bar set for toddlers. But anyway, it's pretty funny. The Fisher Price spoof thing. I urge you to check that out. You find it went viral, so it's like all over the place. Just Google Fisher Price happy hour play set. It features a tiny bar, stools, fake beer bottles, and people didn't realize it was a joke. But I put that in the winning category. But certainly Fisher Price probably didn't think it was too funny, since they had to direct PR resources to figure it out. In the losing category, remember the watch company Pebble came on the scene a few years ago, created this crowd-funded smartwatch, called the Pebble and every kind of thing. Well, the headline from Gizmodo this week says Pebble is dead and its customers are completely screwed. And Pebble, basically, there was an idea that possibly it might get bought out by Fitbit, but it didn't. And then, but then it said that a post on Kickstarter basically said that Fitbit was acquiring key Pebble assets, but Pebble would, quote, no longer be operating as an independent company. And that's also in line with the Bloomberg report that claims only chunks of the Pebble business were being sold to Fitbit, namely some of the intellectual property and some of the key staff, that kind of thing. But it really leaves the customers out in the cold, right? And while the Kickstarter, again, this company that started, in Kickstarter, and it's held up as one of the great success stories of Kickstarter. And now you have the idea that, okay, maybe they crowdfunded it, maybe they went forward, but maybe they didn't know jack squat about how to run a consumer electronics business, and they had too high of a burn rate, and they, and now customers that own these Pebble watches expecting some kind of warranty service or expecting some kind of support on the marketplace, those people are completely out in the cold. So we're going to put them firmly in the losing category. And we're also going to follow that up by saying that GoPro, GoPro is really struggling right now. They just laid off 15% of their workforce. They're very much struggling because there are a lot of copycats to GoPro, and the idea of buying most people's camera is their smartphone, and having a separate camera from any capacity is kind of strange, especially when you have a more shock resistant case for your smartphone and you have different kinds of mounts for your smartphone. It's like, why would you, a lot of people are starting to kind of question, why would I need to have another, separate camera to, to kind of do that. And that's a tough one too, because GoPro's a cool company who really kind of understood its brand and really, had kind of a lightning in a bottle, time frame in the marketplace. But now that time frame is sort of coming to a swift end. So I think it's kind of interesting. In terrible robotics news this week, and that could be a segment on May the Best Brand Win. We could just go terrible robotics news update of the week. The legged robots from Boston Dynamics, which I've spoken to many, many, many times, have really started to more advance at a high level. And this is a Google subsidiary, a company called Boston Dynamics. And if you haven't seen the Spot Mini navigate stairs and navigate its way, doing all these kind of things, and this thing is powered by artificial intelligence from Google, right? There is no way in hell that this is a good idea. There is no way this is a good idea. It's like you're at the beginning of a movie, that's going to end poorly for the human race. And at the beginning of the movie, all the robots are cute and they're slipping on banana peels and everybody's like, oh, isn't that cute? Look at the little robots. And by the end, we're running for our lives with these damn things running behind us with weapons on them, and it's like, or future generations, our kids are going to be fighting these things in a trench with a bazooka, a shoulder-mounted rocket launcher. And like, that's the world we're leaving them, because we're too friggin' stupid to understand that when you make robots really, really smart and able to, think for themselves and get past hurdles, that eventually one of those hurdles is going to be us, And it's just like, a lot of times we talk about marketing stupidity on this show. This is just flat out regular stupidity, and this is just like not being able to kind of see the future as to what's coming. It drives me crazy sometimes, but that's who's winning and losing this week on May the Best Brand Win on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader on music biz talk. Guys, come on back for segment 3. We're going to give you some tips for how you can make your marketing very, very different. See you in a minute.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Girls are talking rock again.
And people are listening.
Today we're talking bands.
Let's talk promotion. Red Giant Promo, graphics, EPKs, video, photos, social media, and brand building using content marketing.
But let's talk studio at CCMA, which is events, rehearsal, tour prep, piano, guitar, voice, rock band, lessons, workshops, and clinics. Yeah!
Both proud sponsors of Girls Talk Rock.
Well, get the lowdown on these services and contact me, Tracy, at girlstalkrock.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al DiMeola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Hey, happy Friday, everybody. You are wisely back for segment 3 of May the Best Brand Win on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. I am still Scott, remarkably, and we just talked about all the people who are winning and losing this week. Paul, what do you like this week? What are you thinking?
Well, you had two examples of unholy creations, which in my mind I instantly combined into one unholiest of unholy creations. Is a Fisher-Price happy hour set with super intelligent robots.
Oh my goodness! I'll tell you, that would be something else. The fake Fisher-Price happy hour play set is masterfully done. It's masterfully done, and I mean, anytime you can fool people and create fake outrage to a company, they're calling it. Can you imagine Fisher-Price getting the calls and going, and you know, for like just a split second, whoever's getting the calls, we're like,
did we do
this? Did we? Wait, hang on a second. You know, because you know that there's at least some chance that you know somebody's out there.
I guess it depends on where you come across it. I saw it on Reddit and the funny subreddit, so I assumed it was Photoshop fakery. But I guess if you get all your news from Facebook, you deserve the level of informity that you get.
That's an interesting story too. You know, after the election, you know, they're talking about Facebook's role in, you know, swinging the election or whatever, and it's like, no. Just look at the trust numbers in government. The trust numbers and how they've fallen in government will tell you everything that you ever needed to know about what happened in the election.
Well, I guess the fact that people trust fake Facebook news more than they do
there you go.
What if White House press releases tells you something.
But one of the things they're thinking about doing is having making Facebook you know, put some sort of banner on different stories that say, this one's you know a level of fake or whatever. This is you know, I mean, I don't even know how you would implement. Well, I don't even know how you would implement such a thing, or you know, or this site is, you know, some kind of warning message or something. I was like, I don't even. And who judges that anyway? I mean, there's a bunch of crap that I saw on CNN that's the most, you know, biased, non-research, non-journalistic garbage I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Yeah. I'd like to put that fake news crap all over CNN, to be honest. That's what I say. But anyway, we digress. But that was who's winning and losing this week. Here in segment 3, I always like to end the show, the segment with giving you guys some takeaways for yourself. So let's do that, shall we? Actually, before I do that, there's one thing I wanted to hit in segment 1 that I missed, and that was I wanted to give you guys, we were talking about market differentiation, and we're talking about the ways that we can be different in the marketplace. And there's actually 5 different ways or 5 different strategies that companies can take that I thought were kind of interesting and worthy of note. And it's sort of based on how, you know, the level of market maturity. So there's a theory out there that says that as you've been in the market for a long time, your differentiation may change. Like at the beginning, when you very first enter the market, you might differentiate yourself on the basis of technology, and then you could differentiate yourself on the basis of price and quality, based on, you know, being in once your penetration reaches about 30%. As you reach to about 50% to 55%, your differentiation becomes basically on product, that kind of thing. Then as you have been in the market, you know, your penetration reaches 60%, it changes to more of a customer service differentiation, as you see. And then the final part, when you've been in the market, you know, when you reach 80% market penetration, it's more about user experience. And I think that's kind of an interesting way to look at it, that your differentiation may change over time, and probably will have to change over time based on how you are kind of penetrating the market. And I think that's something that you certainly want to keep in mind, that maybe your differentiation may be different over time. But let's give you some of those tips. Tip number 1, as almost always tip number 1, by the way, is research. None of this happens without doing a lot of very good research. We always talk about marketing being fun, creative, entertaining profession, and that kind of thing. And it is, but there's an equal amount of it, which is you in a dark room somewhere, with your glasses on, reading about competitors and reading reports from your customers and analyzing social media reports and doing all this kind of things. You have to be a bit of a scientist, a bit of an analyst in order to, get the information that you need to where you're going to put the pens on the board, right? The way that you know where to position yourself and the way that you discover where you're, we talked in the first segment about blue ocean strategy, about where your blue ocean is going to be, is through research. Research. You really can't do too much of it, and I think that I don't think the companies do enough of it. Even in this big data, we're in this big data era, where we have so much data, but what do you do with it? What do you do with all that data? You have reports about, who's visiting your website. We have the ability to monitor social media conversations. But, do you have workflow in place, where you can make the best use of your data? Or have you devised some systems to where you can kind of whittle the data down to the stuff that is going to be, important to you? Just offhand, I would definitely say, especially if you're going to hire an agency like mine, we are always on the lookout for our clients' competitors. We always have an eye on them. That is the game. That is what we're here to do, is to help position them above their competitors in different ways. Zig when the competition is zagging, and also have an equal ear on the customers. So if you, like I said, if you hire an agency to be sort of your marketing agency, then they need to be, tapping into those channels out there. It's really, really important. And again, it's how where your pins are going to go on the board and where your story is going to go. Tip number 2, decide how comfortable your organization is going to be with the idea of being different, and share that info, with your agency or agencies. This is really, really important. A lot of people think that marketing is just creativity, Oh, whoever has the most creative idea, that's the one that's going to win. That is not always the case, because at some point, the client has to okay it. The client has to be okay with the agency's insanity and that kind of thing. And believe me, if you're doing anything out on the edge and you're taking risks, it can look really crazy. If you're sitting in that chair, and you have an agency out there and you've tasked them with, okay, we want to be more creative, and that kind of thing. It's like, well, make sure you're comfortable with what that means, because, the idea of being different is fantastic. We love it from a marketing perspective, but do not forget that, society punishes those of us who are different. Society punishes them in a number of ways. Let's say you're at church on Sunday or Saturday night, whatever works for you. You're at church. Everybody else, let's say, is wearing slacks and a dress shirt, and you're the only one, in the church, wearing flip-flops and cargo shorts. That's not good different. It doesn't feel good to you. It's not ever going to feel good to you. And even if you're a strong, person who has great self-confidence, our human, our humanness, strives for conformity. And that's not a great thing, honestly, but it is what it is. And you have to understand that that's what it is. So now you're asking your marketing, you're asking your marketing to put you out there in a different place, especially if you're doing something blue ocean. Anytime you're doing something blue ocean, it looks great when it's successful, right? But when you suggest to people that you're going to do it for the first time, human beings don't like risk. You ever suggest something new and outrageous and fun with legal in the room? Yeah, that's not going to be a fun meeting for you, right? Because they are paid to eliminate risk, as much as you can eliminate risk, to reduce risk, to manage risk, blah, 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 that kind of thing. So if you're out there in marketing and you're creating something different and something differentiated and something wildly great and blue ocean and, oh my God, we're going to own this space, everybody's going to be against you. Everybody in your own organization is going to be against you. Everything's going to think it's stupid. The press are going to think it's dumb. Analysts are going to think it's dumb. Everybody's going to think it's dumb. You know, when I wanted to move out to California from St. Louis, Missouri, every single person that was close to me told me personally they thought it was a bad idea. Everybody said it was a bad idea. Not one person, not two people. Every single person there did. Now, you know, I did it anyway. Obviously, I'm here. Hey, woo! And that's why I'm only wearing a light jacket today, and they are, bundled up like the Michelin Man, with a big giant Michelin Man like coat on and that kind of thing, and big gloves and a scarf and that sort of thing. And I am I'm wearing a short sleeve shirt, and I'm going to throw on a light jacket a little bit later. You know what I'm honest? So it worked out for me. I'm going to say that, here in December. But when you do something different, when you do something crazy, when you do something creative, quote unquote, don't expect everybody to just laud you and think that is going to be the most wonderful thing. You're going to face a lot of resistance to get it done. Ask anybody who's ever done anything worthwhile in marketing, and they have fought and they have clawed and they have pushed that thing through, and all the risk in the world and all of the risk of it failing was on their shoulders. And so if it is successful and they can make something successful out of it, then that becomes, a cute footnote to the story, and you move on, that kind of thing. But I do, it's really, really important that companies, and I sit down with my clients, if you hire me to be your agency, we're going to have a conversation about how comfortable you are being different. Because my agency is very creative. We come up with very creative stuff, but you got to be ready for it. You got to be ready to and ready to do your part, which is to have the courage to allow us to implement the creative, crazy ideas. Or what almost always happens is there come to some sort of compromise and say that, well, we in the board are only comfortable we're comfortable being different, or we're comfortable going after this positioning, but only in this capacity, or only this much, or and it just depends. It's as different as people are different, honestly, that conversation can be. But it's an important conversation to have, because otherwise the agency comes back with creative things and says, we should do this, we should do all these crazy things. And then and then they get shot down, and then they're like, but then the company comes back and says, well, we want you to be more creative. And then you're in this little, never-ending wheel of inefficiency that sort of goes on. So decide on your level of acceptable risk there. Number 3, spend some time on this. My company offers half-day messaging and positioning workshops, and we really dig into positioning and get this stuff done right. I find it to be some of the most important and fascinating work that you can do with a brand. You'd be amazed how many conversations I have that start out by people just going into tactics. Well, what email service can we use to get this out? And what can we do this? And I'm like, whoa. Let's start from the beginning. A very good place to start. The beginning in my world is, let's talk about the business. Let's talk about, how are we positioning ourselves? Let's look at these competitors. How are they positioning themselves? Where are they weak? Where are their flanks? What can we expose? Research, as I mentioned, that first tip, this is where you bring it to bear, but you got to give yourself some time to sit down, and don't blow through this. So many companies just blow through it and go, well, we're going to position here and here and here because the money men and the company, thought we should do that. Well, maybe they're right, maybe they're not. But, you certainly owe it to yourself to spend some real time working on it. And you will do yourself so many favors, because it's so important to have your, as you're doing positioning for the company and you're working on your strategy, it's so important to it flows into the messaging in such a natural way. We talked about at the big top of the show, the positioning statement and that kind of thing, and that becomes a message, a message about differentiation. So those two things really go together. But spend some time on it. My 4th tip is that you want to align all of your brand touch points to your new and differentiated message. I see this all the time. A company will create a wonderful differentiated positioning, and then they won't use it. They won't use it everywhere. They'll use it. Okay, well that's good for PR and marketing and stuff. But then you check and go, but your email signature says something totally different, and your phone greeting, says this, and your website doesn't, has a story about it, but it's not quite, done right, and your content doesn't really quite tell all that story, and everything, your email signature, your phone greeting, your website, all of your content, all of your social stuff, everything that's going on in public relations. Alignment. Nothing more important in branding than alignment, right? And there's nothing more damaging than misalignment, right? Sounds like I'm talking about automotive repair in this segment of the show, but we're talking about branding, and this alignment piece is really, really important, and it's detailed, and I don't know why more companies aren't better at it, but if we sat together, I could sit there and we could look at a company's messaging, and I could show you all the holes of where their brand isn't aligned. You can just see it. You can just go, this isn't the same as this. This doesn't line up with this. This isn't right. This isn't, again, look at things like email signatures and things that aren't even considered marketing decisions. By the way, they are in marketing decisions because they touch customers and they touch people that are out there. Really important to get your hands all over it. So the last tip is really to be sure to bring your employees in on this thing. Make sure that, bring them in on where are we positioned in our story. Have a conversation with your employees that's real about our story, our mission, our purpose. What is our differentiation? How are we different in the marketplace? And make sure your employees can tell that story. All companies want to position themselves in a unique place. And again, like I said earlier, the irony is that the position can be very uncomfortable for us. So you need to find a balance that's comfortable for you. Today on this show, today's my daughter Hallie's 14th birthday, and she is a unique and creative force in this world, not just her dad saying so. I am so proud of the strong and compassionate, caring young lady that she's become. And someday she wants to become the CEO of her own toy company, and she'll be having conversations just like these about her marketing and positioning. And she already has a vision about kind of what that whole thing, might look like for her. And to that I say, look out, world, because the next Robertson that's coming your way has her own ideas about what winning and losing really means. And they probably are going to be different from mine, but as long as she's not fighting those crazy legged robots with the artificial intelligence, it's going to be all kinds of good. So that's it for me, marketing fans. This is Scott Robertson, has been Scott Robertson, now signing off for May the Best Brand Win on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. We'll see you next week. You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove